in to say, "I thought I might regret my vote within a year. I certainly didn't think I would regret it by the first decision made by the new government to attack the pensioners, those in this country who cannot go on to strike to show our disgust." What do you say to Ray, who voted for you and feels terribly let down by this decision?
In today's video, we're breaking down the intense confrontation that took place during Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Wednesday interview. This wasn't just any interview. Starmer was ruthlessly taken to task by Laura Kensberg for his government's controversial decisions, particularly regarding the recent cut to the winter fuel allowance for pensioners. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our fast-growing community. Let's dive right into the drama. Yesterday, it was confirmed that the winter fuel allowance, a crucial lifeline for many pensioners, would be reduced. This decision has caused a massive uproar across the country, with millions of Brits furious at the government for what they perceive as a betrayal of those most vulnerable. Keir Starmer and his government, including Chancellor Rachel Reeves and Deputy Leader Angela Rayner, have tried to justify the move. However, their explanations seem to be falling flat as the public increasingly sees through what many are calling blatant lies. The boiling point came when Starmer sat down for an interview with Laura Kensberg. Known for her no-nonsense approach, Kensberg wasted no time in grilling Starmer on the details of the winter fuel allowance cuts. To put it bluntly, he was ruthlessly exposed for evading key questions. Kensberg called him out for misleading statements regarding the reasons behind the cuts, particularly the claims about the state of the country's finances.
I just want to stop you there. On that 22 billion, I want everybody watching this to know and understand that nearly half of that 22 billion, £9 billion, comes from decisions that your government has made to give many public sector workers pay rises above inflation, including junior doctors getting 22% of an increase over 2 years. So again, when it comes to winter fuel allowance, that was a choice. It was a political decision for the reasons that you say you want to sort out the economy. But how can you justify it to viewers who feel like it is an attack on some people who've worked hard all their lives? They're not wealthy, they don't have money to spare, and this year, if it's cold, they're going to be looking at the thermostat and wondering if they can pay their bills.
Let me take that head on, because it's a really important point.
One of the key moments came when Kensberg challenged Starmer's narrative that the government was simply cleaning up the £22 billion black hole left by previous administrations. Kensberg interrupted him mid-sentence to point out that a significant portion, £9 billion of this deficit, was actually created by decisions Starmer's own government had made. These included pay raises for public sector workers, such as junior doctors who had received a 22% increase over 2 years. Kensberg didn't hold back, saying, "How can you justify cutting winter fuel payments when this was a political decision on your part? Pensioners, many of whom have worked hard their entire lives, will now be wondering whether they can afford to turn on their heating this winter." Starmer attempted to double down, reiterating his government's stance that tough decisions were needed to restore the economy. But Kensberg continued to press him, pointing out that this move was seen by many as an attack on the elderly and vulnerable. Starmer struggled to provide convincing answers, and by the end of the exchange, it was clear he had been put on the defensive. Public outrage has been swift. Social media platforms exploded with criticism of Starmer, with many accusing him of abandoning those who need the most support. Some users noted that while the government claims to be protecting the poorest, their policies appear to target pensioners who rely on winter fuel allowances to keep warm during the harsh British winters. Comments like, "Starmer's government is robbing pensioners to clean up their own mess," were widely shared, and the sentiment seems to be growing that the Labour government has lost touch with the everyday struggles of working class and retired citizens. Kensberg's pointed questions only serve to amplify the sense that the government is out of step with the needs of the British people. Beyond the immediate public reaction, this interview has had significant political implications. Starmer's performance has left many in his own party uneasy, with some MPs quietly distancing themselves from the winter fuel allowance cut. Even Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who defended the cut in a separate statement, has faced questions about the government's priorities. Critics have pointed out that Labour was elected on promises of protecting the most vulnerable, yet is now slashing benefits that help pensioners survive the cold months. Starmer's main defence for the cuts has been the need to address the £22 billion shortfall in the nation's finances. He emphasised that without drastic measures, including the reduction of the winter fuel allowance, the country would face even greater financial instability.
Alongside a full economic and fiscal forecast from the Office for Budget Responsibility. I have to tell the House that the budget will involve taking difficult decisions to meet our fiscal rules across spending, welfare and tax.
According to Starmer, this deficit is a result of years of poor management by the previous Conservative government, leaving Labour with no choice but to make difficult and unpopular decisions. However, Quensberg's challenge that much of this deficit was created by Labour's own policies has left a lasting impression. Public sector pay rises and other expenditures have certainly added to the financial burden, and it remains to be seen whether Starmer can navigate this economic tightrope without alienating large swathes of the electorate. In addition to the winter fuel allowance debacle, Labour's upcoming autumn budget is looming large. Chancellor Reeves is expected to announce further cuts and adjustments in an effort to plug the financial gap. One area that is likely to be affected is fuel duty, with reports suggesting that an increase is on the cards. This could spell trouble for motorists, as any hike in fuel prices would be felt keenly by drivers already grappling with high living costs. There's also growing concern about Labour's plans to address vehicle electrification and the long-term loss of revenue from fuel duty as more people switch to electric cars. The government faces tough choices, and the upcoming budget is likely to include more painful announcements, as Starmer himself has warned. This interview has undoubtedly been one of the most damaging moments for Keir Starmer since taking office. The Prime Minister has tried to position himself as a responsible leader, making tough decisions for the good of the country. However, the public's reaction to the winter fuel allowance cut and his inability to convincingly defend it suggests that his government could be losing support. As we look ahead to the budget and further political developments, it remains to be seen whether Starmer can recover from this bruising exchange with Quensberg. For now, though, it seems that the public's trust in his leadership has been shaken. What do you think about this interview and the decisions made by Starmer's government? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more political coverage. Until next time, take care.